Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Rausch will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki. Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master that sales conversation. In today's episode, we are going to do a sales success story. I am super excited to bring back one of our guests that did an on-air coaching call with me from episode 19. This was how to make your consultation calls easier. This is my friend and one of my favorite people in the world, Julie Fry. Julie, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I am so thrilled and honored to be back, Nikki. I always love a reason to talk to you.
Same. Same. We can see each other. We're on Zoom, but it's just fun to have you back on the show. And I asked Julie to come back for a few things. One is, Julie, this is the episode that you and I did around how to make consultation calls easier is the most downloaded episode of all of my episodes so far.
That is so exciting. I loved the advice that you gave me on that call, and it's been so helpful, and I can't wait to talk about it.
I can't wait to talk about it too. And you were saying before we started that it also has brought some new leads. Is that true?
That is true. That is true. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about how I track and measure podcast appearances. And so I can share some numbers with you and your listeners.
Well, let's talk about that. Well, first tell everybody, in case somebody hasn't met Julie, which seems crazy to me because I feel like everywhere I go, people talk about you to me all the time. I think because they know that we're friends, but your name comes up probably more than anybody else's to me. Like people are always like, this about Julie Fry, that about Julie Fry. But in case people haven't met you or heard about your business yet, tell the listener who you are, a little bit about yourself and your business and how people work with you.
Okay. So I'm just going to put a plug in for those people when my name comes up, that if you have a connection to the person who is in a painting behind me, that's Conan O'Brien. So I am wildly obsessed with him. And I want to meet him. So if anybody out there has a connection to Conan O'Brien, think of me. All right. So I work with experts in their industry to grow their visibility and get more leads as podcast guests. And I do that in a few different ways. Do you want me to talk about how?
Okay. Say how people work with, how do people hire you?
Okay. So for the expert that has more money than time, they hire me to do everything except show up and do the podcast conversation or interview. So we work with them initially to develop the strategy of what their objectives are and how they're going to meet those objectives going on to podcasts. We give them, all the prep they need for each show. We check in on the results. We meet monthly to evaluate the strategy. So that I work with clients on a retainer basis. I also love working with experts that are kind of figuring out that podcast guesting is an amazing marketing strategy. And so I teach them the whys and hows of being a great podcast guest, either one-on-one or through a small group program.
So you had mentioned just a couple minutes ago about the way you track podcast. Will you talk a little bit about that too? Because I feel like if you have any interest in podcast guesting, this will be really crucial information to hear from Julie.
Yeah. So, and my background I should share is I used to be a national sales manager in the consumer products industry. So I'm, maybe more numbers driven and analytical than some other entrepreneurs. But one of the things that's really important to me when I work with clients is return on investment. And I want them to be able to see where their results are paying off. So I have a spreadsheet that I keep for myself and that I share with my clients that you list the podcast shows that you've been on. So the name of the show, the date of the show, what your topic was, and what category is that show in. So like this would be a sales related show. I was on another show that was a LinkedIn marketing strategy. So then I list the number of leads that I received from being a guest on that show. I do it 30 days, every 30 days after the episode aired. And then I also track the sales that have come from being on that show. And then what you can do is you can see over time where the needle is moving based on the show categories or certain topics. And then you can do more of that.
I love that. That's awesome. And knowing you the way that I do, you are so great at analyzing data and then using that to make decisions. So
and I will just put in a plug that my guest appearance on your show has led to the highest number of leads and revenue for my business. So see, we're symbiotic there.
Hey. Oh, that makes me so happy. I love for my people to do business together, right? So that makes me happy. Thank you. And congratulations on that. That speaks to who you are and what you offer and that people need what you do. So, and of course, I highly recommend Julie. She's incredible. So if you're looking for help with podcasting and guesting, she is your gal. So, all right, well, let's dig into some success story because I specifically asked you to come back because of some of the successes that you have shared, the things that you were able to implement. So my first question around success story is where were you or how were you feeling about your consult calls, your consultation calls before we did the on-air coaching call?
Very awkward. So even though I had owned a business prior to this one, I did not have to do consultation calls. My business model was a membership and subscription based and lower price point. So this was all new to me. And even though my background is sales, it was corporate. So I would be dealing with a corporate buyer. And again, I didn't do consultation calls. So I was really awkward and I had done some research online about, how to structure your discovery call. But the session that I had with Nikki, pointed me to what questions I needed to ask in my consult calls or discovery calls to either screen out the person I was talking to or, point them in the path of working with me. And so that in itself, by changing 3 or 4 questions, changed my world and that whole process of having that initial chat with a potential client.
I love that. So then what prompted you because I'm always interested, what prompted you to say yes to doing an on-air coaching call with me specifically around the consultation process?
Well, I would say because I have heard other consultation calls or other on-air coaching calls that I think that you did with other people. So I knew what I was in for. And I have also learned that it's better to just kind of put yourself out there, all the weaknesses and vulnerability and the areas that you maybe feel shy about sharing with other people, because we're all humans and none of us are perfect and none of us know how to do everything. And I know that you're a rock star and you're amazing. And as you know, pretty much everything you say to do, I'm just okay, I'll do that. And then I see results. So, that was why wouldn't I have an on-air coaching call with you? And for everybody who's in the Sales Maven Society, which is one of the benefits, is when she opens these up, you get to apply to be on a coaching call. Just do it because it will change your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love that you said about none of us are perfect. It's better to just put yourself out there because that to me is where growth comes from too. And
absolutely.
So I find that to be true in my own business. Every time I just say I don't know how to do this, I need to find an expert. I need to find somebody who can coach me through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So then my next question is, tell us a little bit, and I think you might have alluded to this a little bit, but how did you implement what we talked about in that on-air coaching call? And then what have your results been?
So I immediately after the call, I took my notes and I updated my script that I use for discovery calls. And I do have a script and I pull it up before every single call because I know if I don't, I might forget certain important questions. So I always use my script. And even though some of the questions might be uncomfortable, like there's one that I always kind of go, oh God, I don't like asking this one, but I do it anyway because it points to the right result. So I kind of just put on my blinders and do what I'm told rather than saying, oh, it'll be fine if I don't ask this, because there have been times that I forgot to pull up the script or I decided to freestyle and it did not lead to the right results.
So can I ask, are you willing to share what the question is that still makes you feel a little like, ugh?
Sure. It's, are you the type of person that values reaching your goal, more in terms of time or money? I'm not saying that quite right, but you're basically asking people if they would rather spend time or money in accomplishing their goals. Because I feel like that's such a in your face. Okay, so are you going to be a retainer client or are you going to be a done for you or a do it yourself client?
So I want to congratulate you on being brave with that question, because I know we've talked about that question and I've given similar questions to people in other industries where I think it's really important to get to the heart of the matter. Some people are willing to implement, others look at me like, you're crazy, Nikki. There's no way that's coming out of my mouth. But the fact is that you are pushing through that uncomfortableness, and then you're getting the answer that you need to make the recommendation. And that's the reason why I always say that the sales process isn't about you. It's about the person that you're in conversation with. And you want to make it easy for them to get what they say they want or need or what their problem is and help them solve it. And sometimes that means you having to be a little uncomfortable for their sake.
I love that you just said that. We're having a family situation right now, if I can do a little side story.
Yeah.
So my mom is turning 90 in November, and we were originally supposed to go to Hawaii. My brothers and sisters and their families take my mom to Hawaii because she's never been, but obviously we're not doing that because of COVID. So now we are having a party at my house. Her birthday is November 25th, and I think Thanksgiving is on the 26th. So I have a family member that also loves to plan parties and events, as I do too. And her approach is to look at what she wants to do rather than the person who is being honored at the party and what matters to them. So I had a conversation with another family member about all these things that this other family member wants to do. And I know none of them are going to listen to this podcast, so I can I can share my family dirty secrets. And anyway, it was just so interesting that she makes it about her rather than my mom and what's going to be meaningful for her as she turns 90. So I created a shared Google Doc today, and the first category was things mom loves. And I listed them and I said, we need to have the party directed around these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that also goes back to an exercise that I go through with my VIP clients where it's this exercise of how to really identify your ideal client. And one piece of this exercise is really putting yourself in the shoes of that client and then asking yourself, what is that person going to be looking for, right? So this idea of, again, that it isn't really about you. It should be for their benefit always. And so sometimes that means being uncomfortable. Sometimes that means having to be flexible in your behavior. And I will say most importantly, that also means not being attached to your outcome. Or maybe not to your outcome, but to your idea of what somebody should do, right? The should. comment, right? Like my friend Vicky always says, don't shit on me and I won't shit on you. So when you try to like, this is what somebody should do, if you're overly attached, just like in this particular case with your family member who wants the party done, like that's going to be really fun for her, but isn't really thinking about your mom. Those are like should type opportunities. Versus just allow for them to have their experience, because your clients and your family and your mom will enjoy the experience so much more when it's focused on their wants, their needs, and their desires. And again, sometimes that means asking them questions that you might feel uncomfortable with. But have you felt, so I guess I'm curious now about this question. Have you felt when you asked the question, and I know you didn't give us your exact phrasing around it. And I think if you go back and listen, if you're wondering what the phrasing was, it's in episode 19. It's the name of the podcast is How to Make Your Consultation Calls Easier. So if you go back and listen to that, you'll actually hear the language I think that I gave Julie specifically in there. But how has it been received when you ask the question? Does it make do you get a sense that it makes them feel uncomfortable, or are they totally happy to answer the question?
They're totally happy to answer the question. I mean, it's me projecting how I think they're going to feel about it. But I think about some clients that have recently come on board that I did ask that question, and they just answered it point blank. They answered it the way I thought they might answer it. And, so it's totally my issue, not theirs.
Well, and again, congratulations. And that to me just speaks to who you are as a person, that you are brave enough to push through this feeling of like, oh, this question still is a little hard, but that it's getting you the results that you want. It's getting you the answer that you need in order to recommend the right solution.
Exactly. And that's, I think, the key point, is because then once I know which bucket they would fall into of what might be a better fit for them, then I can really speak to like which option or which options might be more relevant that they will get the most out of. So it is truly helpful for both of us.
So results now. So results, how have the results been from your consultation calls? What's happened now that you've tweaked the questions, that you're asking these more direct questions in this way? What have the results been?
Yeah, I wish that I was keeping exact numbers. Like if I had 10 discovery calls this month, like 8 of them became clients. I should start tracking that. I can say that the results are very, very, very good. And I feel like, again, this is me going off of anecdotal stories, but I feel like most of the times when I go through the questions and have the call, that it results in the person working with me in some capacity. Or if it's maybe not a right now, it will be in the future. So I think the results are amazing. Again, if I skip a portion of the questions in the consultation call, or I forget something, the results are not usually as good.
This is also why I do recommend that you do have your list of questions in front of you. That sometimes people go like, well, it feels too like I'm just reading from a script, but you can make your questions conversational. And the more comfortable you get with the questions, the easier that becomes. So I love that you have your script in front of you. And for those of you who are listening, if your consultation questions are not landing in the way that you want them to land, it is time to, 1, change the questions, and 2, make sure that you're not just winging it, that you have questions in front of you. I have questions in front of me when I talk to prospective clients as well. So I think it just helps kind of you stay on your path, that you're leading down to the place where we can now ask permission to make a proposal to work together. So that's like the purpose behind the discovery call, is getting to that place and or understanding this is not an ideal client for me, and I'm going to bless and release in a nice way.
I will share that one client that I have now, when we had our discovery call, and I know she listens to your podcast, because I think the lead came from your podcast. She laughed when I asked one of the questions, because she said, "This sounds like Nikki."
That's so funny.
And it's fun because sometimes if I'm having a call with somebody who's a Sales Maven Society member, I will say like, okay, I'm going to put on my Nikki hat now. So it's kind of nice that we can sort of jokingly say, okay, I'm doing what Nikki tells me to, and that it's okay for us to say that to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. And that makes me laugh. Okay. So here's another question for you. If you were to offer advice to somebody who is struggling with their consultation calls, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, I would say to join the Sales Maven Society. That would be my number one piece of advice.
I love that answer.
Well, and I'm not doing it because you're paying me to. I'm doing it because like...
I'm actually not paying her.
She's not. I'm paying her to be a member of the society. But yeah, I decided early on when I started this business that I needed to join because I knew everything that you put into the world is really brilliant. And the other people that are in the Sales Maven Society are really like high-powered, interesting, smart, resourceful, diverse entrepreneurs. And so I didn't have a tribe of people at the time. And I was like, okay, this will be my tribe of people. And I don't really do Facebook groups, but this is one that I do participate in actively. So I have two that I can contribute to and pop into a couple times a week. And this is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I will second that. I think the people in the group are absolutely incredible. Like every day when I'm getting questions in there or when I'm seeing the successes that people are sharing, I almost want to pinch myself, like the quality of the people in this group. And it just gets better and better. Like it feels like every month when we get, new members that come in and they contribute in a new way and they have, everybody's at different stages in their business with different types of questions around sales. But yeah, it's an incredible group. Like I think it's worth it to join just to be around.
Oh yeah. Just to be, and I will be honest, I'm not the best at doing online trainings. Like I did dig into the membership about the discovery calls and watch some of the training videos because like that was an area where I really needed to learn and gain a better understanding of it. But I'm not good about like going in and taking courses, but I feel like I get more than the value out of just the Facebook group alone. Yeah. And the fact that if somebody has a email that they're thinking about sending and they want some feedback on it, that you will give them tweaks to it or edit it, like that alone blows my mind that you do that. That Nikki actually edits people's emails so that they are more reader or sales friendly. It's amazing.
I actually love that part of it. I love that people ask the questions and I love the value that other people get from reading right? Because people now will come to me and go, okay, I know based on this email that you gave some feedback to so-and-so about that I need to tweak this section right here. So I've done that. And then I'm just struggling with this one sentence. Like what could I say here instead of this? Right. Yeah. We had one yesterday in the group, which made me laugh, where it's an uncomfortable relationship that has come to an end. I don't know, Julie, if you saw this.
I didn't see this,
but one of the members in there has parted ways with a client that was not a good fit for the business, and it's just been a lot of like, wanting to keep that level of professionalism in the communication, but also feeling like, I was like on the side wanting to be like, please go kick rocks, but not that nice. Right. Like, and so the question yesterday is like, what I really want to say, Nikki, is this, which had some curse words in it. Like, what could I say instead? Right. And so it's still a way to say to this person, like, we're done without having to say like, go kick rocks.
Yeah.
But that was kind of but imagine it with curse words.
I'll have to go back and look at that. That's funny.
Yeah. I think it was actually go eat something, but it was like, I was like, well, let's not say it that way. Let's make it a little softer, but still get the point across. Like we're done. Our relationship is finished. So yeah. So I love that part of it.
Nice.
All right. Well, Julie, as we bring this to a close, how can listeners connect with you? Because I suspect that if they haven't connected with you from episode 19, they're definitely going to want to reach out to you now. So how can they find you?
Thank you for that. So my website is yourexpertguest.com. So you can check me out there. There's also a really fun 2-minute quiz that you can take on the website that asks, could podcast guesting grow your visibility? So you can take that quiz right from the website as well.
Oh, I love this idea of the quiz. And so the idea is they can answer a few questions in, like you said, 2 minutes and have some idea about whether or not their expertise would be a good fit as a podcast guest.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
And that quiz was created using some of these discovery call questions.
How about that? I love it. I love it. Well, who doesn't like a quiz? I think quizzes are really fun. So
The only way this quiz could be more fun is if fireworks and unicorns and things like that came after you got your results. But, maybe in a future iteration.
Yeah. So go take the quiz. All right, Julie, thank you so much for being here. I want to close today with a special offer. For those of you who are listening, we've talked a lot about the Sales Maven Society. So come join. This is absolutely the best place to start igniting your sales. And this is a place for you and I to connect, and then for you to connect with these other really amazing business professionals. You bring questions, you bring concerns, I provide answers and guidance, as well as you can utilize the other people in the group they're very forthcoming and gracious and share all the time resources. But the idea is this is going to boost your confidence in your sales situations. So join the Sales Maven Society by going to salesmavensociety.com. And then I have a special coupon code for you to join. You can come for your first month for $27. The membership is $97 a month. But your first month, you can come for $27 a month. Check it out. Check out the content. Come check us out in the group. See how cool these people are and the kind of feedback that they're getting in the group, and see how this is going to benefit you. So I hope you'll join. The coupon code to enter when you go to join is 27TRIAL, 27 trial. That will get you your $27 a month for your first month. Hope to see you in the group. Julie, thanks so much for being here. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much, Nikki. And join the group. That's an amazing deal. Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.